We continue the class discussing this amazing month we're in, the month of Elul, where the king is literally in the field. What does this mean? And what does it mean for me? Please feel free to subscribe and drop a like. Well, it's a great thought. I'm thinking on my birthday, it's a really good thought to think, like wake up and say, thank you for the gift of life, because that's the birthday. So every day we say this. Every day we say, thank you for trusting me. Thank you for giving me another chance. Thank you for another day. I want to live up to your trust. But on the birthday, it's especially special because your birthday is special. So that was what I wanted to share about a birthday. So everyone here knows their Jewish birthday. Eliza, do you know your Jewish birthday?
Definitely.
Definitely.
Chafov Kislev. I'm the second handle.
Oh, wow. That's an easy one to remember. Once you get into Hanukkah, that's easy. So you're a Hanukkah baby, luminous Hanukkah baby, and going up, because that's the message of the lights of Hanukkah, that we always ascend. We ascend and grow stronger and stronger and stronger. So I'd like to give everyone here a blessing, a bracha, because it is my birthday now. And that's why I decided we're going to learn about birthdays. I'm like, what better thing to do on a birthday than teach people the value of a Jewish birthday? I'd like to give every one of you a birthday individually. It's not collectively. I'm looking at every name. I can't see anyone's face but my own, but I see everyone's name. Now think about each one of you individually. And I want to give each one of you a blessing, a bracha, that what you really need and crave and are missing in your life, you should have. And you should have it with God's compassion and kindness. That should come with ease. It should come with really being aware that God's just opening his bountiful hand and just showering you with his love, showering you with his love. And there should be a lot of feeling of inner peace in your life, inner peace in your world, inner peace in all your relationships. Know you are where you're supposed to be, doing what you're supposed to be doing. That is my individual blessing to each one.
Amen.
Amen, amen, amen. You should all see it fulfilled quickly. That was my personal introduction to the class. I want to now go into what I really was supposed to be talking about, because I was like, wow, this is Elul. We got to get started working. This is a month. Elul is a little confusing. Jews can be confusing. So it's a little confusing to understand how the Jewish calendar works. Give a little bit of background on the calendars to explain what I'm going to say about Elul. The Jewish calendar is very unique because the Gregorian calendar, what we might call the secular calendar, is purely solar, doesn't take the moon into consideration at all. A month is a random collection of days. The Islamic calendar is purely lunar. It doesn't take the solar system and take the sun into perspective at all. It's totally irrelevant. It's just based on the cycle of the moon. The Jewish calendar is primarily lunar, but takes into account the solar seasons, the seasons of the year, which means the solar calendar, the sun-oriented calendar. Because our calendar is lunar, we go based on the waxing and waning of the sun. The month begins with the the moon. The month begins with the rebirth of the moon. The month is a number of days of the cycle of the moon. But we keep into account the sun, which means the seasons. Because there's one verse, a very short little verse, which says that Passover is in the spring. And boy, does that verse create a lot of laws, a lot of understanding of astronomy. Because for Passover to be in the spring, if we just kept our lunar calendar, what would happen, and I'm not going to explain why, because it's a very long explanation, more astronomy than you want to know, is gradually the months would start slipping backwards. So Passover would start being in the winter, and then it would become in the fall, then it would become in the summer. So to prevent this, every 2 to 3 years, we insert an entire month, because in Judaism, unlike the leap year in the Gregorian calendar, in Judaism, you can't add a day to the month. A month is a cycle of the moon. but you could add a month to the year. So every 2 to 3 years, we added a whole extra month to like give a push forward to realign our calendar, get back into sync with the sun. So Passover stays all these years. We've been celebrating Passover for thousands of years, and it's still in the spring because of the brilliance of the Jewish calendar. So with that background explaining, so we have a concept of the year as a series of months and the year as a series of years. The months begin in Nisan, in the month of Passover, in the month of the Exodus. That is the first month. That's the first month. And from that perspective, the final month is Adar, the month of Purim. But that's not years. That's a series of months. The year, as we know, begins in the middle of that cycle of months in the month called Tishrei, which is approaching in 25 days. The year starts in Tishrei. The months start in Nisan. So if the year starts in Tishrei, the final month of the year is the month we're in right now, Elul. So Elul is the 12th month, counting from the cycle of years. If that did not make any sense, please ask. I know far more than I'm saying on the subject because there's a lot to say, and it's just like a lot of understanding these laws, but this is just a very simplified version of the story. So why am I saying this? To understand what's special about this month. That this month is the final month of the year. And the entire month was given to enable us to prepare for the coming year. So the coming year, which starts in about 25 days, now 3+ weeks left, we're in the prep time. We want a special year, got to start doing the work now. And there's a famous metaphor to explain the energy we should feel during this month. Because there could be a lot of like trepidation, fear, especially if the past year wasn't so great. And it's like, oh my gosh, I got to make sure this coming year is good. I got to make sure this coming year is the year I want. I got to create a great year for myself. So it's a lot of pressure. So the first leader of Chabad, referred to as Alter Rebbe, gave a beautiful metaphor to explain what's the energy of this month. And the story he tells, it's only a story, but it's reflecting a very deep truth, is of a country ruled by a very wise, noble, gracious, powerful king. Very beloved, not a despot, wasn't a dictatorship. It was a very benign monarchy, and everyone loved the king. But the king was very, very remote, very far. I mean, maybe they saw his picture. The king lived in the capital city. And even if you lived in the capital city, I mean, when would you see the king? Maybe there's a royal parade. The king's in the palace. Could you get to the palace? Maybe if you could come up with a good enough reason to get an appointment, maybe once in a lifetime. And obviously you take like 5 baths, showers before and be dressed anew from head to toe. And every minute you have this audience, you'd be like filled with a sense of, I'm in the presence of the king. But obviously for most people, that never happened. So one day, we're all the commoners. And as the commoners, maybe one of us is a baker, a tailor, a smithy, a farmer. We're all out in the fields, out in the countryside, you know, with our dirty clothing and dirty hands and dirty faces and smelling of the earth. And suddenly we see from a distance the royal carriage. Now, what in the world is the royal carriage doing here? We have no clue. We're simple people. We don't know. But it's coming closer and closer. And we're like, oh my gosh. So we all drop whatever we're holding, drop the pitchforks, drop whatever's in our hand. And we run to see, to catch a glimpse of the royal carriage. I mean, we never saw it in our lifetime. Not our parents, not our grandparents. This is something we'll tell our children, our grandchildren forever. This is an unbelievable moment. The king's carriage passed through our pasture, passed by our village. And as we all gather there in awe, as we're going to see the king's carriage flying by, the carriage stops. And the king looks out. And the king looks at each one of us. He makes eye contact. And he's smiling. And the king gives each one of us this beautiful, beautiful smile. Maybe we can ask that request and he says yes. Maybe we can't, but his smile is telling us yes. And we're also like, wow, we just feel so strongly this gift, this relationship. The king is with me in my field. That when the king makes a movement with his hand and the carriage starts going again, slowly going toward the capital city, we just follow the procession. We just all join, forget about the pitchforks, forget about the baking, the tannery, the smithy. We just follow the king and we walk all the way back to the capital city. We walk all the way to the royal palace, to the castle. And as the king enters, we all enter in. And that is the metaphor. That is the parable for the month of Elul. That the month of Elul, God, the king, comes down to us. He comes down to us and we're in the fields. Meaning, it's not a holiday. Next month is holidays and holidays and holidays, if anyone's checked the calendar. Next month, we're in the synagogue. We're clean, we're bathed, we're in our finest clothing, we're praying or saying psalms, saying Tehillim all day. We're so focused, we're so godly, we're so holy. This month, school just started, your kids, your life, what you have to do, your job, your responsibilities, or just the daily grind that's been going on for many, many days. We have all the dirt of our life on our hands. And the king comes to the field. God comes to be with us this month, which means that every single day of this month, God's compassion. God has 13 attributes of compassion, and they're very high energies. Compassion is a wonderful gift. I always ask God for compassion. I never ask for kindness, because kindness means giving us what we deserve, and compassion means giving us what we don't deserve. So I always go for compassion. Every day of Elul, God's 13 attributes of compassion are shining in the world. Every day, it's like imagining again, we're in that field and we feel that warmth, that glow of the king's smile. That's what's happening every single day. Every day. Every mundane day. I could be different. You could be different. Because God has given me powers I never normally have. Powers that really technically should make this day a holiday. Every single day of this month, from a spiritual perspective, has the energy of a holiday. Holiday means a holy day. Every day is a holiday. Every day is a holy day. But it's not. It's like the synergy of the holiness in a regular Wednesday. So we do regular things. You drive carpool, you probably went to Jewel or Mariano's, you shop and you spend money and you wonder why the prices are so high, and you cook and you clean and you work and you have your careers and your relationship and your life. We do regular things with supercharged energies that we might not be at all aware of. But every one of us has them for every single day of this entire month. Which means every day of the month, we should be different. This should not be a regular Wednesday. Today should have been different. We were doing the same regular things, but we should have done them differently. Because we have all of God's compassion saturating us. And it's already 4 days. Today was the 4th day. So for 4 days, every single day, God's smile is like drenching us with his compassion, with his love, with his energy, for us to be different, for us to have this opportunity of a month to pull ourselves together. So when the high holiday comes, we're ready. We're even ready before. The metaphor of the people walking into the palace is us walking into the high holidays. But we're not walking in like, convex on the stand. We're walking in with the king. Well, what would you like to do different with all this energy? This is not a story. This is real. Every single one of us for the next 25 days. What would you like to do different? Because now you're aware of all the energy you have. at your disposal.